standing on the train and look at all these men. What happened to giving up your seat for women? No man offered me a seat. Excuse me, are you going to get up?
What?
Are you going to get up?
Are you pregnant?
No.
Are you for equality?
Yes?
And for
Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, we're covering part 2 to the story I covered last night, which is titled, Divorce Guy Gives 31 Reasons Why Not to Get Married. And guys, first and foremost, I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I said I was going to cover part 2 last night, 1 hour later. Something came up while I was filming the video I had to take care of immediately, and so I had to postpone it to today. So I appreciate that. But anyhow, guys, yesterday I covered 1 through 15 in this guy's big list of things, reasons not to get married. And now I'm covering 16 through 31. And just like yesterday, they're very good. And right on the money on things that I talk about all the time in this channel, other guys talk about, and it's definitely worth your time to hear these things for those that want to get married one day or do relationships. And again, it also reinforces why some of us not interested in any of that. So continuing on with number 16, he says here, give what you get. Once the lovey-dovey honeymoon phase is over, a lot of wives or living girlfriends pull back on the affection and reduce what they do around the house. They may cut back on the hours that they work or stop working altogether. Bottom line is, they're not keeping up with their end of the bargain or giving to you and the family. Sometimes they'll announce that they're not happy or they need a break or they've been carrying more than their share for far too long, and that's why they need a break. Okay, everybody needs a break. Then you can take a break together. She doesn't get to take a break on her own. She doesn't get to stop going to work. And if you're a parent, guess what? There's no such thing as a break because there's always something. And if you're a homeowner, there's always something. It seems that the natural response of the husband or boyfriend is to take responsibility for her unhappiness. Newsflash, she's never going to be happy. He'll take up more of the load of the household chores and take the kids all day Saturday to give her a break. Never mind that he works 50 hours per week to her 35 and was already doing half of the stuff around the house anyway. He'll buy her presents or arrange a vacation because she's obviously been under so much stress. Look, there are good women out there and good wives and everything like that. But again, you can take a vacation together. Everybody can get stressed out or burnt out. That's fine. But he's giving an example ones that are clearly milking it. And once they take the little break lasts forever. And yeah, usually the husband is working his tail off anyway. Number 17, tears are manipulation. Yep, that's why I call Hobag Handbook Chapter 2 in that one. Comes up the most. Yes, don't fall for the crocodile tears. He says, all women cry. Sometimes it's even real. If she's frustrated because you won't do what you want, they aren't real. If she's upset because things aren't going the way she wants, they aren't real. I've been interleaving my own anecdotes throughout those lessons, so here's a doozy for you. I got married the first time because my girlfriend cried at me. We dated a couple years and just got in an apartment together, and I bought her an engagement ring. But I started thinking about some problems concerning being married to her, like her spending habits, her casual relationship with the truth, and the bedroom which was less attractive than you expect for a relatively new couple. I brought these up when she tried to pin me down on a date, and she burst into tears and promised that she'd fix everything, blah, blah, blah. Like the biggest dumbass in the world, I caved, and we got married in City Hall about a week later. Smack! And how'd that work out? All those signs saying reasons not to marry her, and you did anyway. Obviously, you're young and dumb, probably in your 20s, no experience, but still, at least you're learning. Yes, all women cry. Women are vastly more emotional than men, although nowadays a lot of men are quite emotional, sadly. And some do cry because the emotions get crazy. But a big chunk of the time, if there's something going back and forth between the guy and the gal, the tears come on here. And I have seen even young girls whip up the tears like that to get what they want. It's amazing. They can turn it on and off like a light switch. I got a good kid out of her, and he's doing well now, but it took him 5 years of adulthood to throw off the stupid from the way his mother raised him. In every other way, that marriage was a life wrecker. When your girlfriend or wife, daughter or mother cries at you, ignore it. I don't care if you need to bite your tongue until it bleeds or walk away, and come back with a friend who can dope smack you whenever you start to give in. Don't agree to anything. Don't promise anything, don't buy anything, and don't forgive her for anything when the waterworks are flowing. Again, this is a guy with a lot of life experience here. I know a lot of you guys have seen this. 17, her debts are your debts. Yes, That's how the court will see it. Your wife can get a credit card in her name without telling you. It then becomes your responsibility to pay it. In a community property jurisdiction, that is the law. Even if you're not in a community property jurisdiction, a family court judge can decide that her maxed out cards are part of the marriage and that you, as the sole breadwinner of the family, have to pay them off before the marital assets are divided. Ask me how I know. Gee, how do you know? Because you dealt with the same shit. That is why you have a right as a husband to know what she's spending her fucking money on and what card she has and all that. Even if she claims it's my money. No. It's not only monetary debts that you become responsible for. Promises and other commitments will get dumped upon you. It's not so much a matter of the law as a matter of relationships with family and neighbors and such. If it's your call whether to do it or not, just be aware that if you're the bad guy, then you're the bad guy if you don't make sure that those promises are fulfilled. A few people will realize that she made the promise without checking with you and will blame her for it. Those people will be in the minority. Almost everyone's going to call you an a-hole for letting them down. Well, of course. It's your call whether or not to do them. Like with a lot of things, be careful that it doesn't become a pattern. The little favors tend to sneak up upon you. Just helping the neighbor carry a new mattress upstairs is just 5 minutes of your time, and you don't want to be a jerk by saying no. As I said before, and we'll say it again, it's a judgment call when to draw the line and start telling people no that you're not going to move their furniture. Okay, this is less about marriage and your wife, but more about just in life. Yes, guys, you got to learn to say no and stand up for yourself. And he just goes on and on about that, but you get the point. Number 19, get a reality check. Well, a lot of guys need a reality check. You're human, your consciousness and your willpower are wrapped in a meat suit. When the meat suit is sick and tired, the ability to think clearly and the ability to stay on task are tanked. That's why some army training has Hell Week at the start, to select a competent percent of the population which can keep going and stay on frame when they're starving and haven't slept for 48 hours. Hunger and lack of sleep aren't the only things which impact the thinking meat. Long-term low-level stress, such as caused by constant nagging, will do that. It makes you prone to compromise your standards. Fine, you can go with your friends to the club. It makes you more prone to believing gaslighting. Maybe she hasn't really gotten extremely protective of her phone in the past few months. Your judgment can be affected by other things. Getting laid 20 times a week changes the way you think about someone. Let me tell you, that woman had bad points. Like anyone, but I don't see a single one of them while we were having recreational nudity 3 or 4 times a day. Then there's the plain old dumbassery, when you don't see what's in front of your face, or you see it but you make dumb decisions anyway. What you want to do is check with your friends once in a while. Level-headed friends and relatives, old enough to have seen all kinds of BS and consequences of bad decisions. Honesty enough to tell you that they think it, even if it hurts your feelings. Discreet enough to not go blabbing. Doesn't have an agenda, which is more important than giving advice, which will help you. Friends like this are rare and to be treasured. Yeah, a good friend will tell you when you're screwing up or acting like a bitch or stuff like that. You may not want to hear it, but you need to hear it. Tell them what's been going on in your relationship and listen if they tell you, dude, she's taking advantage of you. You guys aren't 50-50, you're doing 75, or it sounds like she's checked out, man. You need to take the money out of the shared account, cancel the joint credit card, and talk to your lawyer. This all sounds like I'm telling you to talk to a therapist. Far from it. Very few therapists, counselors, and social workers are worth the time you're spending talking to them, in my not-so-humble opinion. No, what you want is an uncle with his head screwed on right, or your friend who's known you for 10 years and can be trusted not to run his mouth. Yeah, I think this is why my channel and other channels like that are popular. This is a place where guys can share their stories, others can learn from it, etc., etc. You know, and I know you're not alone. This is why I emphasize, guys, you have a trusted party. Hopefully you have that you can talk about things. Your bros, an uncle, a father, something like that. You don't make your wife your therapist, certainly if it's about her. And yeah, those other therapists usually don't know what the fuck they're doing. Number 20, your soon-to-be ex is your enemy. Oh, here we go. Again, this is the guy who's been divorced. It's not going to be a sudden change from lovey-dovey wifey poo to vicious bitch ruining you. I guess that could happen, but I've never seen it. No, it'll just be a continuation of gradual distancing and disinterest that you've either noticed or you've avoided noticing. I'm mentioning it to warn you that her annoying behavior or never taking the time to do things with you can change into outright attacks with zero warning. Except that the distancing and the bitchy comments are the warning. Yeah. Related to this, divorced couples can get along afterwards. I've seen that plenty of times. They can't live with each other, but they don't mean each other any other harm. Or there can be constant police complaints, trashing on social media, attempts to force mutual friends to choose sides, and alienating the children from the other parent. I don't need to tell you which side does all that. Maybe once in a while it's the husband doing it while the ex-wife just wants to get on with her life, but I've never seen that and don't remember ever hearing about it. That matches what I've heard from others and the statistics cited by divorce lawyers. Yeah, overwhelmingly it seems the guy will move on, that's that, but it's usually the ex-wives that are bitter and pissed off, whether it's warranted or not, and usually not, that keep causing drama and turmoil. Says you're back to the topic. You need to expect from your lovey-dovey wife or girlfriend to turn and attack you as soon as she's not happy, and especially if you have the nerve to break up with her. How dare you? Be ready to defend yourself on all fronts. Keep texts and emails, keep track of expenses, and all the things I mentioned several times. Make note when she tries to gaslight you. Well, that's a lot of notes. If she tells you a story about how controlling you are, that story will be told to her friends and the family court judge. You're damn right, whether it's true or not. Better than defending yourself, go on the offense. Get your story out there. Well, the best defense is a good offense. Show your enemy now that you don't owe her anything, and especially not silence about her cheating or her spending or the constant verbal abuse. It might be embarrassing to tell people that you haven't had sex in a year because she always says no, and you take your marriage vows seriously. But it's better than letting her spread stories about how you never want to be with her because you've been having an affair with a coworker for the past year and a half. In other words, control the narrative. I say this all the time, and a lot of guys don't control the narrative because they are embarrassed about what happened. Not getting any for a year or 2 years, or she was cheating with your best friend and doing all these things and all that. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. But newsflash, a lot of guys sadly that happens to, as I've learned and you've learned, and also the fact that people need to know, otherwise she'll demonize you. The court of public opinion has value, believe me. Number 21, know when to bail. Relationships do have rough spots. If the relationship is solid, you get past the rough spots with time and tolerance. If the relationship is solid, if you both are committed to making it work, if you're both honest. Well, that is a lot of ifs. Sometimes you need to stop being a damn fool about it, stop throwing away good money after bad, and just get out. Put the relationship out of its misery. I can't give you any better guidance than that. I keep putting in the effort well past the time I should have bailed out. Well, again, I'm still confused if this dude is presently married to his second wife, the Chinese chick, or he's also divorced her too. I've never gotten the full answer on that. He could be divorced because he's been divorced once. We all know that. But it sounds like, as he described the Tiger Mom, the Chinese wife, quite a handful and quite not worth it. Still not sure if he's married to her. And if you are still married to her and you're this unhappy, get the fuck out of it. And if you're not married to her, well, good for you. Don't get married to a third woman. Things change when children are involved. If there are no serious problems, just an endless series of annoyances, be more tolerant. If you and your wife can get along without fighting too much, it's best for the kids to have both parents together. On the other hand, if your wife never cooks or cleans because she's so busy watching the baby and the bedroom has been dead since she got pregnant because she's so tired and she's running up credit card charges because she's so bored, it may be time to pull the plug. She's showing you who she is, a lazy narcissist, and marriage counseling is not going to change her. Nope, it's not. One special case in knowing when to bail, if your wife is having an affair and she's showing signs of obsession with the new relationship, hit her with the divorce button while she's still in the affair fog. You can probably get better terms if she wants to get the clutter out of her life so she can go be with the new guy. Yeah, that's true. Covered lots of stories on here and the other channel where the wife's having an affair. She thinks she's found the better guy, and she is much more accommodating to get out of your current marriage on with the next guy. Use that to your advantage, guys. As opposed to him kicking her to the curb and she has no other options, then she doesn't want a divorce. Or she'll make it very difficult on you. Number 22. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Or have you guys heard that? Also, once a liar, always a liar. Once a promise breaker, always a promise breaker. Once a thief, always a thief. They're related. You're not going to have a woman who cheats on her long-term and committed boyfriend and isn't also a liar. If your wife can't be trusted to keep a promise, the odds are she's lying to you go way up. It's not a matter of cause and effect, it's a matter of statistics. It's the same idea as if wifing up a woman who had sex with her husband 100 men. We don't have to argue about why she's more likely to divorce or cheat on her husband. All that matters is that she's more likely to divorce or cheat on him. He says, don't be ignoring little lies or unimportant promises either. Getting back to girlfriends and wives, if she stretches the truth just a bit to tell you that she was home doing housework all day when she really had gone out shopping with her friends, she'll have no problem stretching the truth when she's spending the afternoon with the guy who just bought the house across the street. Ding, ding, ding. It all comes down to trust. If you can't trust her, why are you with her? Right. Trust is the foundation of a relationship. You have a cracked foundation, the house is not going to last too long. 23, shit tests. I don't have any experience with this one, to be honest. Either my wives and long-term girlfriends didn't pull deliberate shit tests, or I was too dense to recognize them. You were too dense to recognize them, sir. All women test. All do. Because at some point, guys are going to, in their mind, become complacent or slip up, or maybe say or do something that's perceived as weakness, and they're going to test. And they'll definitely test during the early stages of dating and all that, especially if they see the guys so-so as opposed to a top guy. A top guy, they're not going to test as much because they know he's a top guy. But they all test. So you obviously were blind to that. And a lot of times the tests are just little things. Not that big a deal, just stupid shit to see how you're going to react. She'll tease you about your freaking shirt you're wearing or your shoes or something like that, and to see if you're going to get bothered by it. And you can't care, you know. What I did see were wives and girlfriends doing whatever they wanted to do and expecting me to go along with it or pay for it or clean up the problems they caused. Well, that's a test, but they also had your number because you did all that, dude, and smack for doing that. I don't see any of it as testing to see what they could get away with or see if I was manly enough for them. Or maybe what happened was I did try a test, and I immediately said, fuck this shit, I'm out, without realizing it. No, you fell for it. Anyway, although this is an article of faith, many men that all women pull shit tests, I'm not so sure it's true. Okay, I've agreed with countless things you said in the other video and this one, but this is one, no, they all test. You just couldn't tell. 24, the rules change when children are involved. Well, of course. Most of what I said here is soft guidelines rather than hard rules. You have to decide for yourself if your wife's laziness is worth fighting over or is worth leaving over. The guidelines get even softer and fuzzier when you have children. On the one hand, you need to be more tolerant because you don't want to argue or break up the family for something that doesn't really matter in the long run. On the other hand, you don't want to raise your kids to grow up in a house with constant tension or outright abuse. Kids are usually better off with both parents together, but not always. It is more advantageous, yes, to have children in a household with both parents. But if mom and dad are throwing dishes at each other, and there's fighting and drama, and there's no love and all that, that's not a good situation for the kids, okay? So you can pick and choose what is worth it, guys, but I think most of you would know when's the time to bail, regardless if kids are involved. I've had people write in who shared their stories of how they grew up in a household they wished their parents divorced. It was that bad. Seriously. You need to consider the possibility that she's right and you're wrong. Children turn out better in father-only families than in mother-only families, but that doesn't mean that you're always right about bedtime or letting the kids play a game, which could get them hurt. Put your kids first above your feelings or being taken for granted or just used for your wallet. Sacrifice your time, money, and happiness for them. Put up with your wife's complaining and spending so long as it's not truly ruining your life and so long as it seems that the kids are better off with their parents together. Well, again, I wouldn't go that black and white on it because in that scenario, it sounds pretty fucking bad anyway. You know? No relationship is perfect. No woman is perfect. No guy is perfect. But believe me, when the cons outweigh the pros, it's time to go, children or not. You know, come on here. When the youngest turns 18, it's soon enough to drop the divorce papers. That's my plan and has been for years. Ah, okay, now I'm getting it. So you are still married to the Chinese wife. I would have gotten out of there, man. I put up with the bitching and the spending, keeping count of 2 years, 3 months, 6 days to go. It's been miserable most of my time and never gotten better than not too bad. If it's been miserable most of the time, you should be getting the fuck out of there, dude. Now, unless you really are strongly believing that she is going to absolutely crucify you with a child support, amongst other things, I don't know why you put up with this shit so long. But okay, if 2 years, 3 months, and 6 days to go means there will be a lot better situation than the divorce, fine. But then you'll be divorced twice. And, well, you should have got married the second time. And I'm sure you love your kids out of this, that's great. But don't ever fucking get married a third time, I gotta say that. My youngest is old enough to discuss what she wants, and she does not want the family to stay together until she graduates high school. And then she wants me to move out and let her stay with me for at least 1 year of college. That's another thing to consider when you where you won't put the kids first. If your kid turns into a lazy parasite, just like her mother, doesn't need to be said, or a thief or something like that, you don't have to do more than the minimum, and you don't have to feel guilty about cutting her off when she turns 18. Well, easier said than done. Most parents, their kids can turn out really bad, and they're not going to cut them off. And they fucked up in many ways by the kids turning out. Sometimes you just have bad seeds. It is what it is. It's just a bad fucking seed, no matter what the parent does. And it's I would imagine, a very tough thing to grasp and accept. But a lot of times, all the way the kid turns out has something to do with you as a parent. Or you could do everything you can as a father, but the mother fucks it up and, tough situation. But there's a point. Kid becomes an adult, and that adult is a fucking asshole or degenerate or something like that. Sadly, you gotta do what you gotta do. You don't need to stick around and waste your time trying to be a father, especially if they make it clear they don't respect you, won't listen to you, and what you want is only to bail them out of their own problems. Well, I agree. A good parent doesn't keep fixing their fuck-up kid's problems. The kid has to learn the hard way. 25, take care of yourself first. Well, I'm all for that. But, sir, doesn't sound like to me that you've been doing that. You almost certainly feel the need to be useful to help people or do your part, and it doesn't matter how much of this comes with you, with the Y chromosome, and how much comes from cultural conditioning. If you're a man in the mainstream Western culture, it's a deep part of your nature. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'll tell you to keep it under control. One way to look at it is if you give everything you have, you'll be worn out, burned out, or dead, and won't be able to help anybody anymore. Another way to look at it, and the one I want to focus on, is that the people you're helping, by which I mean your wife or girlfriend, might not be worth all the effort. If she's a modern gal, Western woman, she most likely is not, and it gets better. After you worked overtime for 2 years to pay off her car loan and school loan, she can leave at any time. You were never home, according to her. Dude, please tell me you were working overtime for 2 years to pay off her car loan and student loan. Maybe that's just a figure of speech, like some guys do that. And by the way, never do that, guys. Never loan them money. Never do that, because they can walk away at any time. Are they doing that for you? No. Working 2 jobs and coming home to a messy house, no supper, and your stay-at-home wife handing you the baby because I need a break gets old real fast. I tell you from experience, smack, and you shouldn't have tolerated that. So does having a full day of yard work and house maintenance schedule when some help would be appreciated. But she does her part by taking the kids to the mall for 5 hours to get them out of your way. Yeah, what a great deal. I know you're sharing all these things you've learned the hard way, and you knew smacks were coming, and I appreciate this. This tells guys what not to do. But clearly you've made a lot of mistakes. I think a lot of the problems you had with your both wives is that you were too much of a pushover. It's not an accident you got together with a tiger mom Chinese woman because she knew she could boss you the fuck around, okay? And you said you got two years, 6 months, and 3 days, or whatever the hell it is. Maybe it's in your interest to get out of there sooner. I've said so many times, there's no way to force your wife or your kids once they're old enough to do anything. Trying will get you called an abuser and might get you arrested. You need to take some time for yourself, whether to hang out with your friends or simply for downtime. You need to set aside money for yourself in a safe place in case she loots the joint account and leaves or calls the police with an abuse claim. If you want a prenup because you have a house or business and she doesn't, don't be shamed out of getting it. If she won't sign it, you don't need to get married. Well, again, easier said than done, but since so many guys have to think that they're worthless and will take any girl that pays attention to them, of course they'll fall for the waterworks and not get the prenup when they should. Always get the prenup, guys, but make sure you do it right, as I've covered in other stories. Don't be shamed or gaslit out of keeping your standards. If she casually insults you when she's at a party, or you're well within your rights to call her out on it and call it off if she does it again. You always check them when they disrespect you, and the disrespect becomes more and more or bigger. That's when you really think about checking out the relationship, period. 26, depression and other excuses. I'll start by saying that I'm not qualified to diagnose mental illness, but I'm not sure that most mental health professionals are qualified to diagnose and deal with mental health issues either. From what I can see, America it was a better place when people just sucked it up and dealt with their problems. Amen. Thank you. Nowadays, there's a diagnosis and definition of some kind of issue for everybody and everything. Everybody now has an excuse why they can't do this and why they can't do that. The thing is, mental illness are today's go-to excuse for being lazy, self-centered, worthless piece of shit. If your wife is doing nothing around the house except screwing around on her phone, maybe she's truly depressed and needs medicine and counseling. Or maybe she's just lazy and the diagnosis of depression is just an excuse. It's really hard to tell the difference. Depression is real. That's a fact. Okay? And it really can incapacitate you guys from doing not just your chores and responsibilities, but even the things you enjoy. If you're so unhappy that you don't do the things you enjoy, guess what? You're depressed. If you're so unhappy and you just simply don't want to do your responsibilities, but you have no problem doing the things you enjoy, no, that's different. Both my wives were diagnosed, or maybe should I say be quote unquote diagnosed as being depressed, and I was told that I needed to be understanding and pick up the slack around the house. Oh, how convenient. What if you were depressed? Then you're both not going to pick up the slack around the house? That gets old real quick, especially when the quote-unquote depression didn't seem to interfere with hanging out with her friends or shopping. See? That's my point. True depression is you don't want to do anything. Not just the responsibilities. If you love the gym, you don't want to go to the gym. If you like hanging out with your bros, you don't want to hang out with your bros. So if your wife or girlfriend claims depression and she can't freaking participate and help out around the house, but she's got all of a sudden she's got all the energy to do the things she enjoys, she's full of shit. If the depression keeps her from getting out of bed, I can believe it's real. Ding, 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 yes. If it only keeps her from running the vacuum or doing a little laundry, well, pardon me for having some doubts. Exactly. There are lots of other excuses. One doozy was a woman who was diagnosed with temporal something or other. She couldn't be blamed for always being late to meetings and appointments because she had a condition. See, that's my point. And they probably couldn't fucking fire her because of her condition. I suggest that you do not accept the excuses. As I said, if she's depressed enough that she can't get out of bed, or she regularly starts screaming at nothing in the middle of an ordinary day, that's a real thing. For everything else, if you can't tell the differences between her problems and just being lazy or selfish, do not take it. Well, I think you're definitely speaking from experience because you probably did take it. The same goes for kids. Little Johnny most likely does not have ADD. He needs to get out of the classroom where he has to sit for 7 hours a day while a bitter little harridan tells him that he's the source of the world's problems. Billy most likely does not have ADD. He needs a swat in the butt. Yeah, that pisses me off so much how quickly, and this has been going on for a while, children are labeled all these things. They try to medicate the kids. But yeah, when you're a little kid being forced to sit in a chair listening to some harpy up there tell the boy he's the world's problems, yeah, that's going to make him a little rambunctious. Come on here. Most kids do not need to be fucking medicated. And usually, who are the ones that lead the charge on medicating them? Blah, 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 not a licensed mental health professional, blah, 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 not medical advice. But listen to your common sense more than the professionals. If it talks like a lazy, self-centered bitch, it sits on the couch like a lazy, self-centered bitch, it's probably a lazy, self-centered bitch. Well, there you go. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. 27. They change after they get off the pill. Birth control pills change the way women think and feel. This is pretty well known by now, but it bears mentioning. I think that same goes for the arm tabs. If your girlfriend is taking birth control pills, see about getting her off them for at least 6 months before you get married or make a long-term commitment. You don't know the real her if you've only seen her on the pill. That's a very good piece of advice. It's like not knowing what she looks like if you've never seen her without makeup or worse. Yeah, I've seen some gals that when the makeup comes off, it's like, holy mother of God. 28. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Most men know that if they move out of the family house or apartment, like because the wife had an affair and he doesn't want to be around her for a while, he can be viewed as having abandoned the residence and the family. He gave it up and now it's hers. It's not really as clean as that, but possession is 9/10 of the law. It sucks, but possession applies to small kids too. If your wife has moved back in with her mother and isn't coming back, don't let her take the kids. If she takes them, gets them a while for a visit as soon as you can, either way, immediately file for the court order ASAP and try to get sole custody of the kids on the grounds that your wife abandoned the house and the family. It might succeed, and the worst is that it will happen is the custody hearings will be held near where you live rather than where she lives. As with a lot of these lessons, it's a judgment call. If you're sure that she doesn't plan to come back, fight dirty to keep the kids. You know what? I think a husband, a soon-to-be ex-husband, has to fight dirty regardless, because the likelihood is she's going to. If she's just gone to see her parents for a couple weeks and the visit got extended for a real reason, you don't want to go scorched earth. That's what happened at the end of my first marriage. She went home 400 miles away to see her recently widowed mother for Christmas, taking the toddler with her. The 2-week visit turned into 3, and then 4 because mom is depressed and needs help. Oh, back to the depression thing. A bit later, she said that she didn't want to come back, though she wanted me to keep giving her money because I'm still your wife, go figure. I drove out to get the kid and try to work things out, or suggest marriage counseling, whatever would work. A week later, I drove back to bring the kid back to her and talk some more. This was my big mistake here, believing her when she said maybe we can work it out. I didn't want to ruin any chance of keeping our family together. And she played you, but you didn't know any better. What I should have done was keep the kid with me and go to court. Like I said above, at least I would have had a local court. What happened instead was she filed for custody the first day she was able to, and then I had to travel 400 miles away every time she refused to let me get the kid according to the court order. And of course, the police refused to enforce the child custody orders and threatened me with arrest for demanding names and badge numbers, referred to the system as not your friend. That sucks, man. 29. Trial separations. My experience is that after you've been apart for a while, not too long, she finds that she needs you and find you that you don't need her, and that your life is not more peaceful with or without her, and that you have more money. The only real downside for him might be less sex, but it's gotten to the point that separating, there probably hasn't been much sex lately. There's also the kids, but having kids in the picture changes everything. Yeah, a lot of guys when they separate realize, shit, it's so quiet. No more bitching, no more complaining. This is obviously when things get really bad. And you got a lot more money in your bank account because it's not being pissed away on bullshit. And a lot of times she realizes, shit, I need this guy around. I need this guy to fix things. I need this guy to take care of things, provide, and all that. And yeah, you probably weren't getting any loving anyway. Women who had a boyfriend or husband living with them don't realize just how much he does for her and the household. Ding, ding, ding. Very true. But then again, guys that leave good women, and there are good women out there, don't realize how much she does. And I'm going to give a shout to the good women out there. It goes the other way, too. The difference is that he does things like clear the snow off the car, replace the kitchen faucet which falls apart one day, and provides endless money for the endless surprise expenses. She reminds him to make an appointment to get his teeth cleaned and arranges dinner parties with 8 of her friends and possibly one of his. And she makes the house a home by shopping for all sorts of clutter and new furniture that he has to pay for. I'm exaggerating, of course, but not by much. The point is, what the man provides is usually more important to her than what she provides to him. There's sex, which is almost always more important to the man, but if the bedroom isn't dead, you probably aren't thinking about the separation, and that's about it. Women very seldom see that, though. From what I've seen, separations are just like divorces. It's usually the woman moving out, cough, cough, monkey branching, or demanding that he move out, knowing full well that the police will back up her demand 99% of the time. And odds are that a few months later, when things aren't working out quite as well as she thought they would, she wants to get back together. Well, they always come back. They always come back when things don't work out with the guy that they have left you for. Because that guy usually is a chatter Tyrone and has his fun with her because she's in a relationship or married or whatever, and then boom, he's done with her. Sometimes it's because the monkey isn't working out, or the money isn't working out. Sometimes because the house and cars are falling apart. Sometimes because being a single mother turns out to be awful and a lot more work than being one of two. Blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's because the new sausage didn't work out the way she wanted to. Some women even say they want to get back with their husband because she really loves him. I'm not sure how much I believe that one. There's always practical considerations underneath, as in, I didn't realize how much I loved him. I might believe if moving out was his idea, and she's been trying from the start to get back together. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but it could happen. The point of all this, be skeptical, very skeptical. If your wife or girlfriend wants to get back together after you've been apart for a while, ignore everything she says about love and missing you. Look for the self-serving reasons. Yes, exactly. Maybe go back to the family house and check for things that aren't working. Half of the GFI outlets don't work because they've been tripped, and she doesn't know that you have to push the reset button. Yep. What's GFI? Bathroom sink clogged. One of her car's tires is looking mighty soft. I guess you have your answers about why she wants you back. Similarly, if she mentions money at all, you have your answer. Right, guys? But a lot of guys are so heartbroken when the girl leaves or breaks up with them, they'll take her back no matter what. And they don't notice the softening car tire, that the electrical outlets don't work. All of a sudden, she's bringing up money and she doesn't have it. Come on, guys, have common sense. If you do think about moving back and are letting her back in your life, make sure that you're really doing it because it's in your interest. Other practical advice is to check with a lawyer as soon as the first whisper of separation leaves her lips, or if you're thinking about it. You want to move money out of the shared accounts, get off the joint credit cards, with a million other things. Some of these things can be painted as dishonest or abusive, so cover your ass before you do them. Yeah, and I guarantee, if she's doing that, it's not sneaky or abusive or controlling. If you're doing that, then it's sneaky, abusive, controlling. If you have kids, think about what you're going to tell them, no matter who moves out or who stays with the kids. Again, get advice on what you can tell them to reduce the risk of being accused of alienation of affection. We're almost done here. Number 30. All these are good, but this is a really good one. Number 30. Women can't raise boys. Thank you. Make this clear. A good mom can raise her son. She can give him a lot of love and support and encouragement and raise him to be a good person, but a boy needs a father. The same way that a girl needs a mother, but the right mother. And frankly, a boy needs the right father too. He can't have some George McFly pussy. Although George McFly in the movie raised Marty. Marty was awesome. But scratch that part. It's a movie, doesn't matter. Look at the number of men who sit down to piss. Unless they lost their short arm in a tragic boating accident, you can place long odds that they were raised by women. I don't need to tell you about the shortcomings of women when it comes to raising boys. This is more of a call to action. Make sure to stay in your son's lives. It's worth giving up career opportunities to stay close. It's worth going back into court time after time, even when it seems pointless. It's not always best to stay together for your kids. You have to make that call. But you should be willing to put up with a lot if it's better for them. I have seen a number of divorces where the mom gets the boy, and let me tell you, because mom's with the boy most of the time, not to mention female teachers, it ain't good. The boy turns irresponsible. He turns into a pussy. All these types of things. It's unfortunate. And you know, in many cases, the father really tries to be in his life. But guess what? Ex-wife does everything she can to keep dad away. The same goes for daughters. I'm sure that single women can't raise boys. I'm not sure they can raise girls. Again, you probably don't need to be told about the statistics of teen pregnancy, educational complication, and other issues. My biggest regret regarding the ending of my first marriage and the raising of my son is that my ex-wife did not die before the divorce. Whether or not she needed to be assisted in this. My son picked up quite a few bad habits from being raised by women and seeing me about 6 weeks a year. From refusing to take accountability for all his bad decisions to, yes, sitting down to take a piss. He didn't grow up and become a man until he was hitting his mid-20s. There you go, man. Well, man, you only saw your boy 6 weeks out of the year. Well, you said that she took off and tried to move him far away. I guess that had something to do with it. Yeah. You see, the thing about, I do a whole video why it's important for a boy to have a father, a good father, or a male role model. It's crucial, but right there. For the second marriage, I put up with endless shit from my wife and I concentrate on my bank account. Smack! Well, you should have put up with it, dude. You should have stand your ground, been a fucking man about it. All in order to stay in my daughter's life to help her grow up as well. It's been terrible, but worth it. If the family courts were less shit, then they would listen to each kid's preference and give me custody, but that's not the world we live in. Well, I guess also depends on where you live. Because I think once a kid is old enough, teenager, the kid can tell the court who they want to live with. But I guess it depends on where you live. Do whatever you need to do to stay with your kids' lives. Stay in the same city or in the same house. Put up with her shit. Spend the money on lawyers if it doesn't get any better. Worst come to worst, I'm not saying you should offer, but I understand. Yeah, I'm joking. No, we're not doing that. 31. Last one. Look at yourself. Many of these lessons and warning signs work in the opposite direction. Do you spend every cent you make without saving for a rainy day? When things go wrong, are the first words out of your mouth an excuse? If your best friend's sister was dating someone just like you, would you help him break up with them because she doesn't deserve that? I don't have any concrete advice on this. Just keep in mind, if there is conflict between you, she's not always the one in the wrong, only 90% of the time, ha. And there you go. That is the end of the thing. And my God, that was a lot of very wise, important things for all guys to know. Again, whether you are currently in a relationship, thinking about being in a relationship, married or thinking about being married, or just a guy that simply has walked away, and who can blame you with all this stuff. I mean, I agree with you so many things. But if you're going to wait 2 years and 6 months and 3 days, whatever it was, to end the second marriage, a Chinese wife, because she's an asshole, if that's your path, I hope the next 2 years and 6 months and 3 days goes quick. But for God's sakes, when you end that marriage, at least you've been through the divorce process already, don't ever fucking get married again. You already have a couple kids. You don't need your line is being passed on. You're good. You'll have grandkids one day. Enough's enough. Now, I can definitely tell through your stories many areas where you went wrong, but you admitted that, and I respect that, and nobody's perfect. Guys are going to make mistakes, and the younger you are, the more you're going to make them. I just don't know why you got married twice, given how bad marriage number one went. I never get how a guy can be married once, go through a bad, and you did go through a bad divorce and all the bullshit, everything, and do it again. That is madness to me. But some motherfuckers do it a third time and a fourth time and think it's going to work out. But some guys just are dumb. But anyhow, sir, okay, if you're going to wait 2 years and 6 months and 3 days, so be it. Good luck through that. Hopefully the channel will give you the strength to get through that, and be prepared to go to the mattresses, but you know that. Or maybe you realize 2 years and 6 months and 3 days ain't fucking worth it, and maybe your daughter can speak up and say she wants to live with you instead of her crazy tiger mom. I don't know. I do hope for the best. But anyhow, sir, appreciate you sending this in. A lot of great wisdom, a lot of good advice. You've learned the hard way. That's the best thing you can do. And that's not the best thing you can do. It's a long fucking video. I'm starting to lose my mind here. You've learned the hard way, but now you're using it to help others. That's the best thing you can do, and I want you to help yourself. But don't ever make the same mistakes again. That's all I can say. So great thing. I appreciate you sending it in. I wish you all the best. And for all you guys out there who've listened to this, I hope you're a little wiser from all this. The best thing you can do is learn from other people's mistakes. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.